All right, welcome back, everyone. So last week, we took that really big, kind of radical leap with the epoche, right? We put the entire world in brackets. But that leaves us with this huge question. What now? What do we actually do inside that bracketed space? Well, that's what today is all about. We're going to turn that theoretical move into a powerful, practical tool for doing real philosophy. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with that now what problem. Then we'll introduce Husserl's secret weapon, if you will, the imagination. We'll look at the specific technique he developed, called the method of variation. Then comes the fun part. We'll get our hands dirty in a little workshop with an apple and a chair. And finally, we'll see how this all cashes out, what the huge philosophical payoff is. Okay, so let's set the stage. We've done the epoche. We've hit pause on our natural assumption that the world just exists out there independent of us. We've taken a step back, and this puts us in a really strange but really interesting new space, a space that's purified of all our usual beliefs. But the question is just hanging there. Now what? Seriously, what's the point? Are we supposed to just sit here and describe in painstaking detail my specific experience of this coffee cup right here, right now? Is that all phenomenology is? Well, the answer is a big, emphatic no, and Husserl couldn't be clearer about this. The point is not to become some kind of personal stenographer, just writing down our fleeting experiences. Phenomenology has a much bigger ambition. It wants to be what Husserl calls a science of essences, an eidetic science. That comes from the Greek word eidos, which means form or essence. We're not after individual facts, we're after the universal, necessary structures of any possible experience. So how in the world do you get from the particular, concrete fact of this experience right now to the universal essence of that kind of experience in general? How do you make that jump? Well, to get there, Husserl gives us this incredible and very disciplined tool, our own imagination. The method is called eidetic variation. And what's so cool about this is that it's not just, daydreaming or idle fantasy. This is a rigorous, controlled, philosophical technique. The idea is to take an object in your mind and start changing it, altering it, pushing it to its limits to see what it absolutely has to have to still be that thing. We're literally looking for its conceptual breaking point. Oh, I just love how Husserl puts it here. He says we shift the actual perception into the realm of non-actualities. We step into the as-if. We're moving out of the messy, contingent, factual world and into this wide open space of pure possibility. And it's only there, freed from the limits of any single example, that the essential structures can really show themselves. So how do we actually do this? How does it work in practice? Well, it's not some vague, mystical thing. It's actually a pretty clear step-by-step method that you can learn and use yourself. It's really just 4 steps. Step 1, you pick a starting point, a single concrete example. Step 2, you just start playing with it in your mind. You vary its features freely. Step 3, as you're doing that, you pay close attention to what cannot change. What's the thing that if you got rid of it, the whole thing would collapse? That's the invariant. And step 4, you grasp that invariant structure, and boom, that's the essence, the eidos you were looking for. Okay, theory is great, but let's actually try this. Let's put this method to the test with a simple, everyday, natural object. I want everyone, right now, to just picture an apple in your mind. Doesn't matter what kind, it can be a Red Delicious, a Granny Smith, whatever. Just get one single, concrete apple in your head. That's our exemplar. You got it? Good. Now, let's start messing with it. In your imagination, make the apple blue. Is it still an apple? Yeah, I think so. Okay, now make it square, like a little block. A little weird, but still feels like an apple, right? Okay, let's push harder. What if it tastes exactly like a lemon? What if it's made of wax and has no nutritional value at all? What if it grows on a vine, like a tomato? See what we're doing? We're testing its limits. We just keep pushing these variations. Where's the breaking point? At what moment do you finally say, nope, whatever that is, it's not an apple anymore? We're on the hunt for what the phenomenologist Merleau-Ponty later called the invariant, that central chord that just has to be there. And as we do this, a little cluster of properties starts to emerge as non-negotiable. Notice color doesn't seem to be essential, the exact shape isn't either, but being a certain kind of fruit, having a core with seeds, a certain kind of fleshy texture, growing on a tree, and having at least the potential for nourishment, those things seem to be part of the deal. This little bundle of invariants, this is the essence of Apple. Awesome. Now let's run that experiment one more time. But this time, let's use a totally different kind of object. Something that was designed, an artifact. This is going to show us something really, really important about essences. All right, round 2. Picture a chair. Now let's vary it. Can you have a chair made of solid ice? Sure, an ice sculpture. Can it have 6 legs instead of 4? Of course. How about a stool with no backrest? Is that still a chair? It's debatable, but yeah, probably. But what if the chair is made of smoke, so it can't support any weight? What if it's so tiny you need a microscope just to see it? So what's the deal here? What absolutely has to stay for something to be a chair? The material can change, the number of legs, the shape, all of that seems pretty flexible. So what's the core? And here it is, the big reveal. We discover through variation that the essence of a chair has almost nothing to do with its physical properties. It's all about its function. A chair is a structure that is for supporting a person. Its whole purpose is to be sat on. Its essence is totally tied up in what it's for. And this right here, this simple workshop reveals a massive philosophical distinction. Natural things, like apples, seem to have an intrinsic essence. Their essence is about what they are. But artifacts, things we design like chairs, have an extrinsic essence. Their essence is defined by their purpose, by what they are for, an end that lies outside the object itself. That's a huge insight to get from just playing around in our imagination. Okay, let's bring this all home. Because this isn't just a fun party trick or a creative thinking exercise. This method has a serious philosophical payoff. It's a way of generating real philosophical knowledge. What eidetic variation does is it allows us to move beyond contingent facts. Simple observations like, this apple in front of me is red. That's a fact about one thing. Instead, we get to grasp a priori essential truths. A priori just means knowledge that we have independent of any particular experience. Statements like, an apple must be a fruit, are necessary truths. They're true for any possible apple you could ever encounter in any possible world. And we didn't learn that by doing science on apples. We discovered it through this rigorous, imaginative process. So once you get the hang of this method, you have the main key to unlock your own phenomenological investigations. You can go way beyond apples and chairs. You can start to ask the big questions. What is the invariant essence of a perception, or a memory, or a feeling of hope? What is the unchangeable essence of a thought itself? This is how phenomenology stops being just something you read about and becomes a living, breathing method for making your own philosophical discoveries.